Having really good mental health, there's not actually a secret. What if I told you that it's actually like a recipe? There's foundations that create it.
Ooh. Okay. And those foundations can be translated into habits that, when done consistently, can make for one heck of a resilient human being for the times that we have ahead.
Hey everybody, it's Bianca.
Welcome back, Evolvers. It's Emilia. Here we have episode 502, The Foundations of Good Mental Health. Now, obviously, if you're in the Evolve community, we want to make sure that you have extraordinary, excellent, resilient mental health. But for today's episode, we're going to start scratching that itch. And it starts right here at the surface. So Bianca and I, just before recording this episode, she and I got in a brainstorming sesh where essentially I forced her into this. If we were to do this episode and really lock in some of our foundations, what can we both agree upon? And so by the end of this episode, y'all will have a handful of places to start. Say, for example, when you listen to this episode and you want to start to implement change, and this is something that you're like, all right, I'm ready to move the needle forward. I want good mental health and I want high quality mental health. These are the foundational pillars that we want and encourage you to improve upon in your life. Why? Why does that matter? Why should people care? Bianca, what's your hot take on that?
Everyone complains that life sucks and then isn't willing to do the things necessary to make it not suck.
What? We prefer complaining than we do taking action?
What? There's actually like things that you can do to make sure that like you're good? What?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I know we're being playful in this, and also we deeply believe in these things, and we're not just speaking out of that belief. Every single day, Bianca and I are living in these beliefs, and we are the beneficiary of the fact that the compound effect over time with good quality choices. And what I mean by that is good quality choices, taking the science that is readily available to us and applying it in our own life on a habitual standpoint. We get to benefit from that. And so I want to make sure that everyone knows for this episode, you get to benefit from that as you apply that in your life too. And so we want you to walk away not only with the recipe per Bianca's opening, but also encourage you to actually take those action steps that seem like they are possible and doable in your life. I know everyone's going to hear some of these things and be like, okay, yeah, but, and the excuses are going to come out, and that's normal. However, I'm going to encourage you, if you're an evolver and you want change, to take one small action step in at least one of these 6 areas that we have for today.
This also is not a one and done, and I want to make sure that I make that abundantly clear. This is the foundational steps, the foundational pillars are habits that you build upon every single day. It's things that you get better at every single day, and through every different phase and journey of your life. It might look a little bit different. You might need a little bit less of certain things, a little bit more of certain things, and that's okay. Just like a recipe, it depends on what the outcome is that you want. So if you want super, super crispy chicken, for example, you're going to need a lot more like batter and breadcrumbs and whatever. If you want grilled chicken and you want just like a little bit of crisp to it, you only add a little bit. So it depends on the outcome, and that's one of the pillars that we're going to dive into, so I'm not going to give that away. But these are all steps that you build upon. So be mindful of the fact that there might be a part of you that comes up that says, I'm not good at any of these, or I'm not good at one of these, but I'm good at a couple of the other ones of these, and I need to be perfect, and I need to get all of them right now all at once. I am the queen of that. That's why I say it. because it's very easy to get caught into that trap. So just be mindful. You're going to build on these slowly over time. That's how Amelia and I got to the places that we are at. And it's why we are the women that we are, because we have made this a daily, lifelong practice. It's not a one and done. It's just like eating, right? You don't eat once and then you're full for life. You have to eat every single day.
That's a good one. I like that. Yeah, so true. So I think what's important, the starting point for all of us, is to recognize what is mental health. And I think it's a really easy thing to not even define in this episode. But if we were to really, really get in on that shared definition, mental health, and I have this up in front of me, so I'm going to read it directly from the National Institute of Mental Health,
Nice.
and we'll link that below. Mental health encompasses our emotional, psychological, and social well-being, influencing how we think, feel, act, handle stress, and relate to others. It is essential at every life stage and is more than just the absence of illness. In other words, it is at a state of well-being that you have, hold, nurture, and practice. And so you are the one person that gets to make those decisions that improve your overall well-being in all of these facets, hence the habits, or someone who neglects your well-being, which is the not doing and the not becoming or developing or cultivating a practice within your life on the day-to-day. And so all of these areas, all of these zones, the emotional, the psychological, social well-being, influencing how we feel, how we think, how we act, and how we handle stress and relate to others. It's that practice on the daily that we need to all have. And it's going to look different. Like we said, it's going to feel different. It's going to be a different recipe for every single human being. However, one of the biggest things that mental health and good mental health, high quality mental health requires is that consistent devotion. So we need to recognize it as a garden that we all get to steward. And to what Bianca, you said earlier, if we don't have a belief that we are deserving of good mental health, then we're not going to invest in that garden. We're not going to cultivate that garden. And so the first ground belief, Bianca, that I would suggest for our listeners to open their minds to when it comes to these behaviors and these pillars that we're going to discuss is recognizing that I, Amelia Smith, am deserving of good mental health. Bar none. Any listener, please put your name in that sentiment and give that to yourself before we get into this. Any specific belief, Bianca, that you believe would be helpful for listeners to get started so that they can absorb these 6 that we're going to get into and really start making practical changes in their life?
It's an add-on to what you said. So I, Bianca Thomas, am deserving of good health, and I am capable of achieving it.
Great. Love that. And I am capable of seeing progress, and I am capable of the inputs that are necessary, even when it's hard, even when I'm uncomfortable, even when I don't believe in myself. I am capable of persevering through that discomfort, through the change, and through the resistance that my body, my mind, my psychology might show. Okay. We say that
Lovely.
because anyone that's in the pursuit of good mental health, it's kind of like you're getting in the gym every single day with yourself. It's a you versus you. I had a client say this the other day. I am my biggest barrier. And it's like, yes, we all are sometimes. And that's one of the biggest mirrors that we have to face. Okay, so let's get into them. So the number one pillar that we believe at Evolve is absolutely a requirement as a foundational pillar of good mental health falls under the category of brain health. Why? Brain health is everything from your sleep to how active your brain is, to what you're feeding your brain, to what you're not feeding your brain, to the thoughts that you're essentially letting come into your brain before sleep. It's everything around your brain health. And so one small practical, tactical application is looking at your sleep, how you sleep, how much time you get asleep, how the quality is of your sleep. And that, believe it or not, is a huge foundation that is overlooked by so many people around the world. We are a society that is incredibly sleep deprived. And when you look at all of the mental illnesses and challenges that we experience in life, a lot of that ties back down to poor brain health and ultimately incredibly low levels and poor quality of sleep.
So I'm not weak, lazy, incompetent, unmotivated, reckless, careless, not driven if I sleep?
Not at all. As a matter of fact, all of those narratives are from generations that knew nothing about brain health and how important sleep is for a high quality of life, great health, and ultimately incredible levels of well-being and positive, good mental health. So we see those narratives, and let those bounce right off of you. And if you struggle with that, reach out. Okay. Pillar number 2. Pillar number 2 is nature. What I mean by that is getting outside, not being inside in these artificially created places, although your home, your office, the workplace, those cafes that you love, the libraries, the education buildings, whatever we love to spend our time in, protect and shield us from the elements. Nature is incredibly important to support our overall well-being. I could get into the nitty-gritty of the sciences underneath that. I won't in this episode, despite my deepest desires to. But getting out in nature, that means outsides, outdoors, in the elements. So many people, you wouldn't believe it, when it's a rainy day, want to stay inside. I get it. However, your mental health will always get better on those days where you actually go get out in nature, because nature it's the ecosystem that without that, we wouldn't be able to survive. The sunlight, the air, the fresh air, right? And ultimately the elements that we can interact with, that is foundational to our mental health and well-being. Number 3, fitness. So this is a big bucket that both Bianca and I adore and are obsessed with, to put it lovely. And this fitness is this overarching category of being as fit as humanly possible in your circumstances, in your age, in your life, given whatever conditions you have, et cetera, et cetera. And so what that involves is nutrition, training and exercise, stretching, mobility, pliability, hydration, all of the efforts that are involved on the physical realm for your fitness to be at its highest level, because the body is either atrophying, meaning it is decaying, or it is being used and building itself. And so when you are focused on building yourself, going to the gym or moving or stretching or yoga or any sort of movement, making sure that you're mindful of the nutrition, the molecules that you're consuming, essentially, the hydration that you're giving the machinery in your body, the cells in your body, to be able to function at a level that is baseline. Not to mention, even better, your body will work for you and help support your mental health.
There are a lot of people have a lot of resistance to physical fitness and training and whatnot, and I get it. There's been a lot of very harmful, destructive narratives out there pushed by people who are trying to sell certain ideas, certain products, whatever. Fitness is whatever you are going to be able to consistently do. So if that's going for a walk every single day, do that. If it's dancing, if it's hiking, if it's whatever, Pilates, whatever, it doesn't matter. Do something. It doesn't have to look like one thing or another. Find what fits for you. Find what you're going to be able to do consistently, and then go from there.
I'm glad you said that, because it is so easy to make sure that we just have that image of whatever we have and then just totally run away from the foundations that ultimately fitness has in it. And we do our body injustice, not focusing in on all the different leverage points when it comes to moving our bodies, nourishing our bodies, and everything that exists in the in-between. Okay, so that's number 3. So for you, make sure that something in the fitness realm for you is being considered to improve upon today. Number 4 is purpose. So human beings, we are inherently problem solvers as a species. We are very good at applying all of our factories, if you will, to a situation. And I'm not talking about on the micro situation. I'm talking about the macro situation. What is your meaning? What is the meaning of your life in this chapter, in this world, at the bigger life at large? And that might not always come to you, and you might not always know what that is. I get that. And Bianca had asked me before this episode, do you think that everyone can have a purpose? And I said, absolutely. As a matter of fact, nature creates human beings to have a purpose, and it might not be you are doing that one thing forever, whatever that is, right? The job. People usually go to the job as their purpose. Maybe your purpose looks so differently to be the best sister-in-law or to be the best version of you, applying your gifts in the fitness realm, right? Whatever your purpose is, it is something that gets you up and out of bed, eager, and gives you meaning in this world. Okay, so that doesn't mean every single day you're going to love what you do. Doesn't mean that there's not going to be challenge, strife, pain, suffering amongst your unique purpose. But the active and consistent, diligent pursuit to find or uncover, I like to use the word uncover and discover, your purpose is often what is so critical to having all faculties of our brains online to give us that quote unquote bigger purpose in life so that we are exercising our mental health and well-being for a purpose, for a meaning. And that is critical when it comes to our sense and connectedness to this world, ourselves, and the bigger quote unquote question of what is the meaning of life. So number five is the gym analogy. This is where cognitive development is critical. Getting a therapist or a coach allows you to get in the gym of the quote unquote mental health and well-being exercising. Okay, so being in a session or having someone that can sharpen your sword, for lack of better words, which is your cognitive skills, your cognitive development, our prefrontal cortex and parts of our brain that no other species can develop the way in which we can, through neurogenesis, through the ability to think about our thinking, the metacognition capabilities that we have. Therapists, coaches help us become more self-aware and use that awareness for application to reverse engineer our goals, our dreams, be better, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So having a therapist or a coach, someone that can help you cognitively develop, that is pillar number 5. And in closing, pillar number 6, this has to do with our social, familial, friendships, sense of belonging. And this is where that sense of belonging is with people. So Bianca, you had mentioned your environment, who you surround yourself with, the sentient beings that you are connecting with. And to be able to have this social wellness, all of those other pillars that come before it are critical components to help ebb and flow and weave a sense of community, unity amongst this bigger purpose of life. And so whatever that is for you, wherever you feel this deep sense of belonging, Alan shared with me a quote the other day, being in rooms where you're celebrated, not tolerated. That is absolutely what this means, right? I think it's a Michael Burt quote he said, but I don't know. So good, right?
That's fire.
Being in rooms where you're celebrated, where you're valued for who you are, not tolerated. That's what number 6 is all about. So in closing, I do believe taking one account of where you are in these 6 will help you improve your mental health And if you want specific guided tactical action towards this episode in your unique life, feel free to book on Bianca and I's calendar. We would love to hear from you and make sure that we have a custom tailored plan for you. Because again, this comes down to just habits and choices. That's all it comes down to.
Or send us a DM on Instagram. So Evolve with Emilia or Evolve with Bianca. If you reach out to us, you're not going to get an AI chat. It's not going to be admins. It's going to be actually us responding back to you. So send us a DM on Instagram. We would love to be able to connect with you there. My episode suggestion is 481, Why Waiting to Feel Ready is Costing You Your Life.
Beautiful. And my episode suggestion is 487, How to Advocate for You. And this is ultimately a key component to be able to, when we engage with other human beings, to get that better sleep, to have better nutrition, right? A lot of that is us interacting with the human beings in our life. And so we need to advocate for ourselves in those needs for having better, higher quality of mental health. So as always, we so appreciate you joining this journey with us. And thank you for your continued interest in the science of holistic mental health and well-being. We're so grateful, and we encourage you to keep evolving.
Bye everybody.